Hello. I
Hi.
hope we are live. Hi, Eva.
Hi.
Oh, I love this. I loved your highs when we were in Swarga. Though half the time it was not meant for me. It was meant for the dogs, I know.
I
But I
think
love them.
people can relate to this.
They most definitely can. I know. I know. I would too. But I fell for the highs a couple of times, assuming it's for me. And I was like, oh, Eva is greeting me with so much enthusiasm. I'm feeling so loved. But clearly it was not for me.
Maybe we
Yes,
can like pretend it was for you also and for dogs.
yes, we can. And for those who are here and wondering what we are talking, we are just recollecting some of our memories from our BACS retreat that happened in Sakleshpur, India, in Feb, end of Feb.
Yes.
And Eva and I met after knowing each other
Yeah.
for years,
Yeah.
for the first time, and it was amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
It was amazing. Even though you think that I didn't have like as much love for you as I had for dogs, but like the love is here.
Yeah, but it's not the same as you have for dogs. I mean, that is truth. Yes. So, hello, thank you for joining us. Please let us know from where you're joining, and we'd love to say hi to you. Today we are going to be talking. This live has been in the works and been planned for quite some time now. And thanks to me, who is a big procrastinator. Um, uh, Sorry. Okay. Whatever. That was Canada, where I was just saying bye to our cook. Yeah. Anyway, this live has been in the making for quite some time, and me being me was definitely sitting on this idea for a long time. But finally, Eva and I decided that it's time to have this chat, and because we haven't chatted for a while now, just the two of us,
Yes. Yes.
we thought why not do it publicly?
Was this a
Just
good idea?
is it? Is it? We'll know at the end of it. Victoria is here from Germany. Hello.
Hi.
Um, Germany, so it must be the same similar time zone as yours.
Yes.
Amazing. We have someone from Argentina. Hello. Hi.
Wow. Hi.
Must be early in the morning, I suppose. Yeah, that's amazing. And of course, our Chandi is here. Tell hi to all your babies.
Yes.
You know she has expanded her family also, no?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm glad she could make it. So why are we here? I have been pestering Eva that we want to talk about Balt and her journey. And I want to learn from it. And I'm sure she has her own learnings from the journey. And I think we all can take away something from here. So that's the idea of this live. Keep commenting where you're from. Tell us hi. Let us know that you're listening in. If you have any questions, any thoughts that come up, any reflections of your own, any learnings of your own while we are having this conversation, do share it here so that we can read it and feel nice about what you are taking away from this conversation. Um, so before we start anything, a formal introduction. I have Eva here, who is a BACBED graduate from BACS. So we both have studied in the same school and learned from the same place of everything that we have to do with dogs, and I guess about life and about people in general. I think everything.
Yeah.
But I'll let Eva introduce herself.
Do you know when people ask you or tell you, can you introduce yourself? And you're like, who am I really? That's how I usually feel. But yeah, I am the same as Sojanya. I'm a canine behavior consultant based in Slovenia. I share my life with my beautiful dog Balt and 5 cats, which this will also be part of today's discussion. And I must say, like, I love learning from dogs about dogs. And this is like a journey, I think, that never ends and keeps on giving. And it's really surprising how much you can learn about yourself when you are learning from dogs about dogs. So yeah, this journey that I'm on really changed who I am. Not to exaggerate or anything, but it truly changed. It changed me. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the chat we're gonna have today.
Amazing. We hear every backbed graduate for sure say this, that we learn so much about ourselves through the journey, and we learn so much about dogs, we learn so much about life. And I agree with you, it's not an exaggeration at all. So okay, so what I thought, and we also have, um thought a little bit, is that I think the best place to start this conversation, also I have to tell the chat that I don't know the entire part story. Like, of course, I've heard bits and pieces through whatever Eva has shared with all of us, but I don't know the entire story either. So I am learning about it as we go here too. So, you know, um, I might be surprised as well. We don't know,
We
right?
don't know.
We don't know what is going to come. But yes, I know it's going to be amazing. And Gwen is here. Gwen is in LA. Wow. I hope you're enjoying in LA. And we should catch up for sure. But anyway, so I thought that a great place to start would just be, there's something that I ask all my clients in our sessions, and that's the first question I ask, which is, tell me a little bit about this dog, and tell me about your life story that brought you to this dog. Like, how did this match happen? So I think that's a great point to start at, which is, tell me about Balt. Like, who was Balt before he met Eva, before he came to Eva's house, Eva's family, and how did Eva decide that, where was she in her journey? What was her thought process?
So a few years ago, I learned about Spanish hunting dogs and like how they are being abused and mistreated. And it really, I always like had a soft spot for the like underdogs, for the like misunderstood animals, for the ones that are like, this one cannot find a home. I'm usually like, can I give you a home? So that's when I decided that um, at one point in my life, I will adopt a sighthound, a Spanish sighthound or a galgo, which is what breed Balt is. And Balt is actually like my second sighthound, because the first one, Benny, unfortunately, really unexpectedly, is this a word? Yes. Passed away like 1 year after I adopted him. And then when the time was right, let's say, I said, okay, let's adopt another one. And I worked with an agency here in Slovenia. And the only thing that I had like wished from the dog that I'm gonna adopt was that he can live with cats. Like, that was the only thing. Like, I didn't care about anything else. I was like, no matter what kind of like problems he would have, because these are really like traumatized, abused dogs. For the people that don't know the situation in Spain, like there is no protection for these dogs. They are treated more like objects. So like people can abuse them, can kill them without any consequences. So I was prepared for anything, right? I just wanted him to go along, like to be able to go along with cats, because I have 5 cats. And the agency said, yes, he's okay with cats. He's a very easy dog. And I was like, oh, okay, like I don't care about that. But he was in a shelter for 2 years at that point. And he was severely attacked 2 times in the shelter. Like he's missing a huge chunk of his thigh. So he really needed to go out of the shelter as soon as possible. So yeah, and then when he came to me, he was like not even there. Like when you looked into his eyes, it was just blank. And it could be easily mistaken for, oh, he's such a good dog, he doesn't react to anything, he's perfect. But it was actually like impossible to connect with him, because not like nothing was there. Like he was not even like a living being. It was like he's an object. Like wherever you put him, he was just there. And once I started learning about dogs, I knew why they said that he gets along with cats and why he's an easy dog, because in fact he was completely shut down. And then, like, I think 2 weeks after I adopted him, he started to relax. And then the trouble started, and he, in fact, like, did not go along with cats at all. And basically, my world crumbled at that point. So, yeah.
I shouldn't be laughing at that point, but
We can
yes.
laugh now. We can laugh now because I was very, in fact, unprepared. And I didn't question his evaluation, not even a bit. But now I know that if you live in, like, I don't know what his life looked like before he went into the shelter, but the shelter in itself, like, it's a very stressful environment. He was there for 2 years. And this affects the dog's behavior. And it's, now I know that, yeah, of course this happened. Of course he completely changed from the easy dog from the shelter.
um it's interesting how you mentioned easy dog, right? Because easy dog, calm dog, is so easily misunderstood. When you see the dogs, right? Because I mean, what does an easy dog mean? Do you mean like they don't cause trouble or they don't occupy space? As women, we see this, right? Like easy women are the ones who don't occupy space, who don't have an opinion outside of what's the right one, right? And I find these labels like easy, and again, these are things that I've learned only over the years. Otherwise, I think Sammy, though not shut down, was a very tolerant dog. He wouldn't mind anything you did with him. And so you don't question it either, right? Because you put dogs in situations and there are dogs who don't question it. And then you almost be like, yeah, the dog is fine with it. The dog is easy. The dog is calm. But it's interesting that you mention um, about the eyes and like there's no living being on the other side. And I think that's one thing that's hard. I don't know if everybody can connect or feel what it feels like, because I think it's only when you experience it, you feel it, you know, it's similar to how you feel the love of a dog when you look into the eyes and then like actually feel a connection. Similarly, I think that lack of it also, you have to just feel the presence, and I don't know how best to explain that, right? Because
Yeah.
both behaviorally look like similar, right? Like, a well regulated dog, and a calm dog, easy
Mm.
dog, almost look same. What was it his ease, like once he started easing into the house and into your family, and he started showing behavior problems, was that your sign that probably he was shut down, or the fact that he was not doing anything? What was your sign, or what gave you the feeling that he's not here, he's shut down? Was it just the feeling of when you looked into his eyes, or is there something else that people can go with,
Mm.
when they're looking at a dog?
Yeah, I think like you said, it's a feeling that it's hard to describe if you are not in that situation. But it was like there was no connection. Like he was like glued to me. He was glued to me, followed me like everywhere, but there was no connection. There was like nothing there. The most like similar thing that I can think of is like I would have like a conversation with you, like, but only I would be like putting things in and nothing would be coming back, but you would still be like in the room with me. And it was like I was very used to dogs being happy that I came home or in their presence, but nothing happened. Like even though he was like would like glue himself to me if possible, he didn't show any emotions. He wasn't a difficult dog by barking, by lunging, by showing his preferences, but he also wasn't like being happy and enjoying life. He didn't do anything. He just was there. So that's the thing that was first for me, like a first sign that there's something going on. And that was actually like the at the same or similar time I started my BARCS journey. So it was like I was able to understand what was going on. I don't know how I would feel, or if I would think, oh, something is not okay here, if I wasn't on like this journey already. But then, yeah, definitely when I saw the change in him, like when everything went like he was nipping slash biting me every time something upset him. He was peeing inside. He was like, people would say, like crazy dog, like insane crazy dog. I knew, okay, you were completely shut down before. So yeah.
um so in a way, I think sometimes, and only those who have, and I can't say I have experienced this, so it's only through second hand information and from a third party lens, but it's only when dogs actually shut down dogs start showing behavior issues that you actually appreciate those issues also, because you're like, okay, fine, now you have something to say now, like we can work from here. Did that happen for you also?
Yeah, but I am questioning myself. Would I think the same if I would not be like studying with BARCS at that point? Would I think, oh my God, like this dog went from completely like well-behaved dog to a crazy dog, when in fact like seeing the problems was a good sign, because at least like something was going out, like something was happening, right? So yeah, when the trouble started, I was like, okay, yes, we are moving forward. But then I was like, okay, but when will it stop? When will it get better?
And I think it's such a fair, and we'll come to this because expectations, we will talk about expectations too, but it's a fair expectation to have, because it's too living beings, two sentient beings sharing space. And I think one of the things that people think, and this was a conversation that we had during our recent uh, panel discussion as well, that we assume that, when we're looking at dogs' emotions, dogs' needs, we completely, neglect the one of the human. But that is not the case. I think you having your expectations, you having your mm, needs as a caregiver to this dog, or even partner or friend or companion to this dog, having your expectations is a fair thing to do. But I think it depends on where we are going with those expectations and what we're doing with those expectations, to rethink about it. So I think, mm, that's quite interesting. And I also liked one thing that you mentioned, which is you were moving forward when you were seeing the behavior problems. And everybody who's watching, if you're seeing why we are doing behavior problems every single time, because we don't, it's so, I find it so weird every time we keep doing behavior problems because, like, I don't know how else to express that that bit. But the idea is, of course, we don't believe that there are behavior problems. It's just difficult situations that the and dog are in, and the relationship is in. But yes, for the purpose of the life and for making this discussion easy, we will completely do behavior problems. But it's very interesting how you mentioned that when you started seeing the behavior problems, is that you were moving forward. And it's a very interesting take. And I agree with you that I don't think everybody sees it in the same light. I think, um, I wouldn't have seen, if not again, similar to you, if not for the Bach's way and the learnings that I've had through this journey, um, I wouldn't have seen these behaviors as a progress. And I think, what if we had one of the takeaways from this talk, and we have got it very early on, I guess, is I think if you are seeing a behavior problem, maybe it's progress, that your dog is finally giving you something to work with in your relationship with the dog. Would you say that that was the start of your journey with Bart?
Yeah, yeah, but I think it happened more in retrospect. Like now thinking back on it, because when I was in the situation, it was okay. He's not getting along with cats. We have all these issues. I was like completely like just like focused on him getting along with cats, and I was just thinking, oh my God, like this is a disaster. Can I even provide for this dog? Can I even like offer him like what he's asking for? And I think as humans, or at least I was or am to some degree still like that, that only good positive emotions are okay, and like the negative emotions are a sign that something is like wrong, or that you are not doing something right. So every time he would do like something, like get upset, react to something, I would think to myself, okay, like this is bad. I'm not getting him to a calm place because he's unable to be calm at that moment. So I am completely messing things up. I'm not a good caretaker. He's never gonna get along with cats because I was so obsessed with this. I knew that he has to be like in the best place possible if we want to start um like getting him used to the cats. So yeah, I was just like, okay, just good things have to happen. Like if a bad thing happens, that means I messed up, like we are going backwards. And I was really like, it was toxic. It was truly toxic. And I think it is, life is not without its struggles, right? Struggles are a part of life. Not feeling okay with something, it's part of life. And I think that was a huge learning for me, that I like that Balt taught me. It's okay to show that you are not okay, because only then someone can, like, something can change. Because when he was shut down and it looked like he was fine, I did not know if he's okay with a certain situation or not. And when he started showing that he's like not okay with certain situations, yes, it was hard to accept when it was constantly happening, right? And I was just thinking, oh my God, I'm doing everything wrong. But it was like, it gave him, I think, also an opportunity to see that I am here for you. I might not know what to do in this situation, but I am here. It's okay. Your emotions are okay. Good, bad, whatever.
Yeah. I think that's a hard one to do though, because,
It is really,
yeah,
really hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I think we, as in for ourselves, like individually, we neglect so many of our emotions and we kind of brush it under the carpet because we are like, this is not an okay emotion to have, or you shouldn't be feeling like this for this situation, or this is not a fair emotion right now. But to do that for ourselves and then to do that for dogs, and then to be like, okay, like, you're feeling this and I might not know what to do and I might not also be okay with it, but I'm here, and I understand where you're coming from, and I'm here for you through this. And I think that's a very hard thing to do. It's not easy, uh, and it's not possible all the time either. I think that's also a fair expectation to keep of ourselves too, that we may not be able to always, show up as the caregiver we want to be, um, and that can come up with its own emotions that we definitely don't want to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I want to like touch upon a little bit about that 1 year that you spoke about, where you were trying to address his situation with the cats and you had certain expectations. And I know that the center of all your expectations was that he gets along with the cats, but it also came up with a lot of behaviors that probably is not easy to deal with. I mean, honestly, like, I've been dealing with Laddu last 3 days, constantly barking, constantly like agitated, constantly whining, and it's not easy to deal with them. And it does put us into a dysregulated state and all of that stuff, of course. So we don't want to paint a picture, a rosy picture of, yes, we have a barking dog all the time and we love it, or like we have a dog who's peeing all over and we are so happy about it. Of course, that's not, the idea. But tell me a little bit about that 1 year, a little more in detail in terms of what were the behaviors, what was your expectations. And I know you mentioned that you got into barks very early on in your journey with Balt, but what were the other suggestions or advice you were getting, maybe from other family members, maybe friends, other dog parents, maybe other dog professionals, in close proximity to you? Like, what were the other things you were hearing? Of course, Bach's way, we all know, has been termed as the radical way to do things. But apparently, love, connection, all of these things is radical. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm sure we all have been given advice that this is not the right thing to do. You should be doing this. What are the things that you were being told to do with Balt from other people? And what was your experience? What was Balt going through this entire um, initial phase before you started making peace with few things, which we'll come to once we have this discussion?
So the things I think I heard the most often was like, he has to get used to it, or he will get used to it. Like, he has to be okay with this. Um, or you are coddling him. You are being too nice to him. That's why he's like that. Um, I think, yeah, that was like the most common thing I heard.
How many of you all have been also told you're spoiling your dogs? You're
Yes.
coddling them. You are the reason why your dog is having behavior problems.
Yeah,
Please
you
share
have
your
to show,
experiences.
them who the boss is. That
Yeah,
was also
yeah,
one of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't be a
Um,
boss anywhere. What am I going to be a boss with my dogs? I mean, girl boss is so last generation, I suppose.
yes. um, and oh, Chandni said something. Yes.
The coddling
Yeah.
argument feels frustrating to me. Like, why do people not love? I mean, that's a great thing, right? Like, why do people just not love the idea of being loved and sharing love and showering people with love? Like, who is getting spoiled by a lot of love? I suppose people are getting more spoiled by lack of, and lack of connection, lack of meeting their needs. Agree with you. It's quite frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and it could be another live on this topic.
If you want
um,
to listen to us talk about it, please let us know.
no, but if I go back to your question regarding Balt's behavior, I actually don't remember much of that year because it was so exhausting. It was, oh gosh. I was like going literally like from like hour to hour. Like we are not looking into the future because I cannot handle this. Like I can handle 1 hour and then you're going in another hour. Oh, and then now I'm going to sleep. So we made it through the day. Yay. I don't have much pictures and videos from that time because I thought that things will never get better and I didn't want to have like a reminder on my phone about that, like about something that I'm experiencing in real life. Why would I want to have it on my phone also? Mm, but he was dog reactive. He was reactive to any type of vehicles, scooters, cars, bikes. He was reactive to men, especially. He was like nipping or even biting even more anytime he got upset, and like it seemed like everything upset him at that point. He was, as I mentioned, peeing inside. He was destroying things. He was what did he do? I think that there are many other things, but he like, oh, on walks, like it was crazy. He was not able to slow down. He was just like sprinting from one end to the other. And I was thinking of stopping the walks altogether, but I saw that he had to move. So then I was balancing that. Okay, you have like you have this need to move to like I assume because of all the stress hormones. And I think also part of it was he was in a shelter for so long and he was like in this small enclosure and didn't have the opportunity to move freely. So yeah, that were some of the things that we we went through. Oh, and I had to be present like with him all the time. That meant that I could not go anywhere. Fortunately, like I did at that point, I was already working from home. And also it helped if my partner was there with him. That was also okay for him, so that I could go to the shop or something that I really had to do. But otherwise, yeah, I had to be with him all the time. And I think that was very, on top of everything, very exhausting, especially because I had to have him separated from the cats. So I was feeling guilty now because I felt like I'm letting my cats down also. So there was also this angle.
So if I have to sum it up, there was dog reactivity, there was movement reactivity, vehicles and everything. There was uh, male reactivity, male strangers or like even known people.
even known people.
Okay.
For example, my aunt's husband, my cousins, they are very loud people. So I think that's the main reason. Yeah.
Okay. And then, of course, walks was one other pulling on leash, I suppose, would be the
Yeah.
way. And of course, not getting along with your cats and separation anxiety with, specifically with you. And this can all be so difficult as a caregiver. I can speak to separation anxiety for sure, like staying at home. See, I'm at home anyway, all days, right? I don't
Me
step
too.
out.
Me
I'm a
too.
homebody. Like, try and get me out of my house. I
Yeah.
challenge you. But when you can't do it, like when you're taken, the choice to do that is taken away, that gets very hard. Like it does, get hard mentally, like emotionally, to not have that choice. And this speaks a little to also how our dogs might be feeling, like with the loss of agency in a lot of cases. But that's a lot to go through as a caregiver. So I can imagine why you would have wanted this to, like, get resolved quickly. Was that one of your expectations, that you wanted this to be resolved sooner than later? Did you
Yes.
not see a light at the end of the tunnel? What was your?
I didn't think that things can get better because it was so shit, honestly, that I was like, how can this? It's impossible that I will have normal life again.
I mean, I loved the like. I had such profound questions, and you're like, I don't think so. I can see light at the end of the
No,
tunnel.
no, I
That was
didn't.
that was a snippet of how mine and Eva's conversations normally go. But okay, so we also want to touch upon expectations and meeting where the dog is. At what How did this change, or where did this change, or where did maybe you had probably a mindset change to the approach that you were having with Balt? Like, what was a turning point? Maybe that might be the right question.
When I saw that we are not, that it's not working, that it, me, especially with cats, because all other things I didn't care that much about, because I was like, if he can get along with cats, everything will get so much easier for me. Um, but so as I've mentioned, I knew that we had to approach this holistically, right? So I did everything possible to like lower his stress levels, to do everything right, because I knew that that's the predisposition for him, maybe getting along with cats. Um, and at that point, I thought, okay, if I get everything right, then he will get along with cats also. But I was missing a very important piece of the puzzle, and that's Balt, because how he was feeling, if he was ready for this, if that's something that he even wanted it, I didn't acknowledge at that point. I was just like, okay, like, we are gonna get you to get along with cats because that's the most important thing to me, but it wasn't the most important thing to Balt. And the turning point was when I saw that it's not, like, this is not working. And then I said to myself, okay, you're not ever gonna get along with cats. And at that point I was fine with that. um and just recently I thought to myself, he was attacked in a shelter, which was his home at that time. And now I was not forcing him to be okay with cats, but I was putting him in a situation where he had to share a space with someone that he didn't trust, right? So now I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like, was I triggering something in him? Because even now, if cats do something that he's unsure of, he will get like scared and he will react, right? Because when he's scared, he will go on the offensive, like, I will scare you off. So that was something that really, really made me think, was I putting him in situations where he didn't feel safe, right? um so yeah, that was, but
That
then when I said, okay, you are never gonna get along with cats, everything started to like transform, everything.
yeah, I think the one is your, uh, and I think this must be a retrospective, very recent reflection that you might have had about what might have happened with Balt in the initial year that you were trying to get him to get along. That must have been a little difficult to um, confront, because and I know that it is a difficult one, simply because I think when we, especially when we are approaching the relationships with our dogs the way we do, I think one of the things that we want to do is safety for our dogs, and build a relationship where we are a safe space for our dogs and build that trust. And very unintentionally we might end up doing things unknowingly. I mean, I think this is a reflection you're having now after like years of having Balt. uh, so it might be such an unintentional, like you don't even know, sometimes we may not even get this, retrospective learning. But it's an interesting point that you made, because I think, I don't believe that a lot of us, many of us don't do anything with our dogs in, like, intentionally, the bad things that we end up
Hmm.
putting our dogs through. I don't think it's very intentional. I think we do it very, like, it comes from a very well intentioned space. And it was very interesting that we had planned this talk, and I came up with came across this one piece of post where they spoke about intentionality comes from our end, but the one who experiences still experiences the same pain, whether we were well intentioned or not.
Yeah.
And I think both these truths can exist together. And I think that's an important thing to, like, kind of think about, which is, we may have good intentions and we might still hurt our dogs, and then we still have to repair the hurt that we have caused. But coming to the like, very interesting turnaround, you spoke about, like, making peace with the fact that he's never going to get along with the cats. Before we go into, like, how things changed, like what were the changes you ended up seeing with Bart, how did you then manage this family dynamics that you had, where you had five cats, you had Bart, you were living, you were the caregiver for all of them. There's a caregiver guilt towards the cats also. So how were you managing this dynamics? Because I think this is a it'll be a great learning for people who are multi-dog household, multi-animal household, whether they have, like, different species or whatever it is. How do you meet the needs of multiple individuals when you're caregiver to multiple individuals, and you know that they're just not going to coexist together?
Uh, Having peace with the fact that you will screw things up and that someone will maybe always lack something. But fortunately, I live in a house with my mom and grandmother, and we have all like our apartments. So it was quite easy to separate the cats from Balt. Physically, it was easy. Emotionally, was not that easy. But I made sure that as much as possible that the needs of everyone is are met as much as it's possible for me. And I also ask for help. I think I'm very privileged. I think that I have help, that I don't live alone, because I don't know how then like situation would turn out. um but yeah, it was, and it got easier once we get got in a routine, I think. So I spend mornings and early afternoons with Balt, and then I go to my cats, or I like switch apart. Like I switched places as their needs changed. So yeah, it was a lot of compromises and a lot of adjustments and going with the flow, like not planning too much.
It's what comes up to me is the word compromise. And I know when you shared like things that you want to talk about, the word compromise did jump at me, because I'm like, I don't like compromises. Like, what do you mean by compromise? Because, coming from an Indian household, Indian family, um, and conversations around marriages are always about, everybody has to compromise. You have to compromise. Uh, in a way to say you have to lower your standards, lower your
Mm,
expectations, um, give up some of your needs, because that's what compromise ends up being. So compromise as a word comes with a baggage for me. But what did
okay.
compromise make you feel? Because it makes me feel differently. And I think that, I always try to like make it as a negotiation instead of compromise, because that feels a little better than
Okay.
compromise. But
Okay.
I mean, we go with the word you chose, which is compromise. But how does compromise make you feel? Because at the end of it, it was your relationship with the animals in your home, the ones you were caring for, and you had to compromise. Sometimes also believing that some of the needs of the cats or Balt may not be met. Some of your needs may not be met. Sometimes you might have to rely on people who may have their own needs, and maybe their needs may not be met for
Mhm.
for whatever reason. How did this entire journey make you feel? Like the idea of compromise, how did that make you feel?
It was actually quite freeing for me, because I think that with me accepting that there will be compromises, um, I started like meeting Balt where he was at. I started to look at things differently, that they don't have to be perfect to be okay. Um, that like messiness, like embracing messiness is okay, because life
Yeah.
is messy. It will always be messy. Um, so it was because at the beginning of this journey I was very black or white, like it has to be good, or if it's not good, it's bad. And with accepting the compromises, um I felt like I was freeing myself from that expectation that I have to be good, I have to do good all the time, I have to be the best caregiver all the time, because it was not possible on some days when I was really tired, exhausted, and then like Balt would destroy something, bite me the 20th time in a day. It was, yeah, I have completely, like I didn't even think about like compromise being not a good thing.
But I have to tell you, so I have obviously grown from that idea as well, because I used to hate the word compromise a few years back. But honestly speaking, we all compromise. We all live in compromise situations. We make choices, very informed choices, to pick something, to let go of something. So compromise, whether consciously or subconsciously, is part of all our lives, I think. But what was bothersome about compromise for me is how it was being forced externally on me,
Mm,
that you have to compromise on this, you have to compromise on this. I'm sure that if I were to tell you that you have to compromise on Bart's well-being,
yeah.
that would not be an okay terms
Yeah.
as well. And I think that is my journey with the idea of compromise, that we all compromise, but I think it has to come from within,
Mm.
and it has to be an informed choice. And I think in your case, when you said, okay, you're not going to get along with the cats, it's fine. And I think, we'll be at that space. It was a very informed uh, event in your journey with Balt, and I think it was a very nobody forced you. Of course, it could come across as, yes, Balt's standing his ground and not getting along could feel like a force, but I think you made that conscious choice of, okay, fine, I'm okay with this. And I think that part of compromise was missing for my journey with the
Mm.
word compromise, because it felt like you're being forced to make compromises. And I think
Yeah.
forced compromises can have a lot of resentment, which I feel that there is a lot in human dog relationships, where you are dealing with a lot of behaviors and difficult situations, and you don't know what to do about it. You're not able to address it, you're not able to solve it. And so you're like, okay, I make peace with it, but you actually don't really make peace with it. So when you don't
Mm.
really make peace with it, I think the pressure that you were feeling to make everything fine between Balt and the cats went away when you and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the pressure goes away to make things right and to have that goal. And the moment that pressure is gone, I think a lot of things just fall into place, like how you mentioned. And there is Balt.
Yes.
So I mean, did it feel like a, okay, like a big baggage is lifted off
Yes.
uh when you made that decision?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And when you were talking about how you were feeling about the word compromise, it made me think that when like people said, oh, like in a marriage you have to compromise, right? But it sounded like only one individual has to change, for lack of better word. um and like the second individual like can do whatever they want, right? And that was like a compromise, right? But in in for example, in my situation with Balt, I think we both compromised. Like we both, he was trying so hard um to be okay with things, to be, I know it must have been so hard for him, like from where he came from. I don't know his history, but based on the things that happen to hunting dogs in Spain, living in a shelter for 2 years, then he moved to a house, like he never lived in a house before, like just those things alone, like he was doing the best he could, and I was also doing the best that I could. And I see compromise as this, like we are all doing our best, and what that best is looks different for every individual, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I mean, I did want to talk about the compromise angle, because I feel like when we talk about compromise, and especially with a human dog relationship, especially with BACBED, people just assume, yes, like humans, let go of all your needs, like let everything go, and then, put your dog on the pedestal, is not what we are talking about. We all, I'm sure anybody who's taking any other approach to the relationship with their dog is making compromise in some format or the other. What they're compromising on is what changes, and that's a very maybe informed choice that you're making, what you're compromising on. Maybe it is your dog's well-being, maybe it's your dog's safety, maybe it's your dog's your well-being. And I think all of us end up making choices where we do give up something for something else. And I think
Mm.
my relationship with compromise has changed over a period of time, but I did want to address the word compromise, because I
Mm.
think um, while you did compromise, it was very important to call out that Balt was also compromising. Balt was also um, giving up certain things that he might have needed, but he recognized that you need it. So, letting go of that. So, okay, so we have this situation where you have now, let go that pressure, let go that expectation.
Do you have to let him out?
I know our for everybody. I don't know what's happening outside. I'll just go address this and you can chat with the chat.
So if any of you has any questions up to this point, I will be like very happy to answer them at this point. Or you can share your thoughts or your experiences. Did you go through something similar maybe? Yeah, we can talk about that while we wait for Sojanya to to let Ladu out.
Hi, I'm back.
Oh,
Did I
you are
leave you?
back. That was really, really fast. No, I was just telling people that they can ask questions or share their thoughts and that I can like answer them while we are waiting for you. But you came back sooner than I thought. So
Yeah, as I mentioned, uh, I was about to say Balt. No, Laddu. Laddu has been quite agitated the last few days. So I was expecting something like this to happen. And
yeah.
I put Eva on a spot before our call, saying that, yeah, you might have to take over for a bit. Um,
we Chandni, can you share? Yeah.
you want me to read it? Okay, I'm just enjoying
Yeah.
listening to
Oh,
your
we
journey.
have to read it. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that we have to read the comments.
There were a few things I feel so deeply now that I have Zizu. I was going to message you after this talk saying, did you listen to these things that we spoke about? But yeah, I think there's a lot that I think we can take away, especially when I think building a new relationship with a dog, right? Like, building, um, because you and Bart were still finding each other, still figuring out how to move through this relationship and build something where you can trust him, he can trust you, there's a safe space for both of you, for the others around. And I think you were still figuring it out. And at this point, if I'm not wrong, you were about 1 year into the your journey together, which is also to point out that these are things that are not rushed. You cannot rush these things, you
No.
cannot have a timeline, and I know it's
I
easier
tried.
said.
I tried. It didn't work.
And I think it's easier said than done, right? Like, I can very easily say, oh, don't put a timeline. But those who are going through, like how you said, we are going through hour by hour, day by day. And if we have gone to sleep that day and woken up the next day, it's like, oh, yes, we survived. And that's not a great space to be. So I can understand why we want to rush this to a point where we all stop struggling and we take away the struggle and the difficulties of each other. But it's harder when we start rushing, and I think that's something that you then started experiencing. So tell me what happened, like once you let go the pressure, let go the expectation. And to point out that you didn't let go all your expectations, the one expectation that you had of him, which is with getting along with the cats, I think that was one expectation that you let go. um what happened after that? Like, what was the changes, what was the transformation, how were you feeling about it? What happened after that?
So yeah, I stopped because before, like, I took Balt to see cats almost every day. And then I completely stopped. So he did not interact with cats for 2 years, I think, or even more. I'm not sure now. And I focused more on his healing journey, to give him like space and opportunities where he could like if he wanted to be frustrated, okay, like be frustrated, it's okay. We really, it was similar than what we were doing before, without the pressure of, okay, we have to do these things, you have to sniff, you have to have choices, you have to like chewing and stuff, using your brain, because the end goal is for you to get along with cats. Like the end goal now for me was for him to feel safe, to feel good, to be who he is. There was no expectation for him, like from me to towards him, like you had to like be okay with other dogs, you have to like not chase the cars. And that doesn't mean that I didn't do anything about it, but the goal was not to get him okay with things that he was not ready to be okay with. So I really like followed his lead, like he was leading me. I think that's the biggest thing that changed. And I cared less about outside pressure. And I think the BARCS community, all of you girls, that really helped me, because I had a group of people that were telling me or sharing their journey to like make me feel it's okay, like what you are doing, it's okay, so that I didn't just listen to how I'm coddling my dog too much, and that's why he's behaving the way he's behaving. But yeah, just giving him the freedom to be who he is. And I think our relationship really started to grow from that, because every day, no matter what happened, I knew that we are both doing our best. And it really changed also how I was looking at myself, because I'm a person that always thinks of the worst case scenario. And I was really not okay with me being like that. And like, why do I worry so much? It was something I did not like about myself. But Balt taught me that if something is worrying me, it's okay to be worried about that thing. Um, no matter if people from the outside are telling you, oh, this is nothing to worry about. And the crazy thing that happened is that I'm not as worried as I used to be. I'm not as like, oh, everything, we are all gonna die. I mean, we are all gonna die, but not in this moment, maybe. Um, so it really like amazing things started to happen when I started to accept him the way he is, because consequently I started accepting myself the way I am. And so much has changed.
This is the gift. This is the gift, because we might be thinking we're doing with whatever we are doing for our dogs, but it invariably comes back to us. But I did have a question before that. I want to take Victoria's question. And
Okay.
what did you do during these first 2 weeks? I think she's referring to the first 2 weeks before, when he was shut down, and then he started to, show the behavior problems. How did you help your dog to decompress? How did you show him that it is okay to show the emotions?
So the first question, what did I do during first 2 weeks? We actually didn't do much, because he was not doing much. um, it was just the first 2 weeks was he was completely shut down. So anything I tried, it looked like nothing was happening. So for example, if I scattered the treats around for him to sniff, because he was not on walks, like he did not want to walk on walks at all. He was not sniffing. So I thought, okay, maybe in the garden, in a safe environment, if I scatter the trees around, he will start sniffing, because we know like sniffing is really good for dogs. But he sniffed for 5 seconds maybe. So I didn't push him into anything. Um, so yeah, I think from the outside it looked like we weren't doing much. And it also looked from Balt's perspective that nothing was happening. But when I think once he life started to look like more of a routine, um, he started to feel safer. I think like he was not like, I never raised my voice. I was moving really slowly around him, not going into his space. So I think that's how he initially started to feel safer, to show how he was really feeling, or like decompress to the point where he showed us how he's truly feeling. I hope that answers your first question. But I didn't like keep a diary or anything that I would could give you a more specific answer. So the way that I help him to decompress, he had opportunities to explore, to sniff, to chew every day, to make decisions. That did not mean that he was doing those things, but the opportunity for him to do those things was there. I didn't try to control his behavior in any way, so no training. What did we do? A lot of opportunities to sleep. Like I really focused on getting him to get as much sleep as possible. And because he was so like, because of the separation anxiety, that meant that I really had to think about, okay, what do I have to do to be able to sit in one spot for a certain amount of hours? um it at moments it felt like I was really walking on eggshells, I think. But I think it was really important for him at that point, um to do that, because if I would not give him the reassurance that he needed at that point, I don't think that things would change. um yeah. Oh, and how did you show him that it's okay to show the emotions? No matter what he did, so the nipping or the biting, it was really uncomfortable for me. But I never went away or to the other room, left him alone, created him. I just figured out that, okay, if I have something for him to bite on instead of myself, and to try to protect myself with like going behind the chair or something, like we are okay. And then he eventually started to destroy things. So like him destroying stuff was a good thing in our case, because it showed, okay, you stopped biting me. You changed your, like, redirected your frustration to something else. So yeah, I think like, yeah, the showing him that his emotions are okay was just letting him feel what he was feeling, and not trying to stop the emotion.
Um, some of the things that were asked here and your responses kind of tie into the question I wanted to ask you, which is, it almost feels like we don't do anything, right? Like practically, you were talking about before this question came up, and you were talking about what changed post, like giving up that pressure on yourself and Balt. What you said was practically like day to day, what practically you were doing in terms of sniffing, chewing, walks, etc., still looked similar, but it was the mindset change. It was a change of, before it was you wanting him to do these things because he needed to do that to get better with the cats, versus he deciding, oh, today I don't want to sniff, I'm not interested, and you be like, okay, that's not what you need today.
Mm.
And that's a
Mm.
mindset shift, right? It's not so much as a practically changing things in terms of what you're doing or offering to him. And I think this is some also ties into the idea of choices. Yes, we may offer a lot of choices to our dogs, but what does it look like for our dogs? Are we listening to what they are telling us from their preferences, from their choices, what they want, what they don't want? And it also kind of ties into what you mentioned about what you did in the first 2 weeks. It almost looks like nothing, right? Like you, it's like you didn't do anything. But from someone who's listening to this, what it feels like you did was, uh, you know, offering a space to him where he could feel safe. And you did mention that, okay, you don't want to go on a walk, we'll do it in the garden. You don't want to do this, okay, fine, whatever you'd like to do, um, altering a lot of what you would want to do otherwise, just so that Bart is feeling comfortable and safe, especially in that period, because he needed it. And you recognize that he needed it. And these are all more back end, I would say, than what you would
Mm.
see someone doing. And I think it's very hard to show it. How do you show that I had a mindset change? Like, how do you get people to see that, right? And it's a lot on the back end. It's a lot about the person's journey, the decisions you're making, the thoughts you're having, the feelings you're having. And I think that's so hard. And I think that is where there's a difference between how you would approach how we would approach the relationship with our dogs. And of course, all of this is in retrospect. I don't think we would be able to say it while we were doing it. But I just wanted to point out that it's a lot on the back end. It's a lot of what's happening internally, our what we're able to reflect on, what we're able to make of about the situation and everything, than what we're doing day to day, logistically, practically with our dogs. I think it almost looks like, yeah, we're doing the same thing. Yeah, you're sniffing, puzzles for the dogs, chewing, like you're walking your dog, loose leash walking. Yes, that's all the practical parts of it. But what's happening in the emotional side of it, in the relational side of it, and that is like the big difference, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, because before I was doing it because okay, yeah, sniffing is good for him, chewing is good for him. So we have to do those things. Like you have to sniff and you have to chew because that means like everything will get better. But then after the mindset shift, it went from, as you said, you want to do this, okay, we're gonna do this. You don't want to do this, okay, no problem. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And that's hard to, and I think Sindhoor made a post about it recently, right? How do you operationalize this? How do you say, yes, this step one, step two, step three, like this is how you do it, is hard to do. It's a very mm, embodied journey, I would say. Like you have
Mm.
to be in it and like be mindful about it and like listen to yourself, listen to the dog. And that's so hard to show, I guess,
Yeah,
in terms of
yeah.
what is actually happening. um Chani is saying, I agree. The reassurance from the BACS community is golden and really helps. I don't know what I'd do without Saujanya and BACS. Thank you. Sending you like lots of flying kisses from here. And Clara had to leave, I think, but you can always come back, watch it leisurely, rewatch it later, however you'd like. And on that note, I'm also going to say, please like and subscribe and whatever the other things that YouTube people say. Apparently, I don't know. So coming back, so we have now let go the expectations, we have let go the pressure. You had to separate the cats for 2 maybe 3 years, and now all of you are on this journey and you have settled into it.
Mhm.
What happened with the cats then?
They are still alive. No, but what happened is that Balt started to like go to our apartment, me and my partners, um where the cats are, because before then he did not want to go there at all, like showed no interest whatsoever. And then at some point he was just like, I want to check what's inside here. And I was like, okay, let's try and see what will happen. And it just went from that. They are still not like, they're not living together all the time because Balt doesn't want to be there all the time. So when he wants to leave, he can live. When he wants to come hang with us, he comes to our apartment. But there's still a lot of management going on, because I think it's still, so if the cats are all chilled, not doing anything, walking around, he's fine, like he doesn't care, he's sleeping. But if they make like weird noises, if they start scratching something, he gets really uncomfortable and scared, I think. It could be said that, oh, he gets like mean and he wants to kill them, but I think from what I've learned about him, I would say that it's coming from not being comfortable, like being unsure what's gonna happen. And at that point, like I have to reassure him everything's gonna be okay. Do you want to leave? And if he wants to go, he can always like move away from this situation. So it's very fluid. It's not even at this point. It's, yeah, he spends all his time with cats, but it's when he's feeling comfortable with it, he will spend time with cats as he pleases. And there are also sometimes days where you can see that he doesn't want to go there at all. Like he would rather spend his time on the terrace or on the balcony, just chilling. And I don't care. Like I'm not going to that place. And I think that's very important that he has this option, because I think if he would be forced, or if there would be no other option for him to share the space with the cats, I don't think that their relationship would be where it is now. And that's also a thing that I had to make peace with, that um, him getting along with cats doesn't mean that he gets along with them all the time and in every situation.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we know this with when we share homes with humans. It could be, your parents, partners, kids, friends. You don't get along all the time, and you will have conflict, you will have friction, you will have your boundaries, as you should. And all of it is a part of cohabitation, I suppose, and
Mm,
coexistence. And to expect that all the time it's going to be good, all the time it's going to be bad, that it is always going to be in extremes, is an unfair expectation of our dogs, I suppose. And
mm,
but it's interesting that when you let go of the expectation, and when you didn't expect that Balt would ever want to interact with the cats, he decided, I'd probably want to explore. And that's quite an interesting one, because I think we also want to think about how dynamic we need our expectations to be. It can't be set in stone that this is exactly what I
mm.
expect and this is what I expect of you all the time. It changes with changing situations, changing dynamics, and changing, journeys. I think, like, as you move through your journey. And I think it's quite interesting that when you let go and when you decided, I don't need this anymore, I can manage, and I continue to manage, is when you saw something happen. And again, something happened completely on Balt's terms. It
Yeah.
was not that, it you needed it and you said, okay, this is how, now that it is happening, it's going to happen like this. And it's quite interesting to just point out that, expectations can change. Today's expectations don't have to be your, eternal expectation of your dog.
Yeah.
You just meet, and I love that how you put up about, what we want to talk about is you meet your dog where they are today, and how they are, who they are today, how they are today, what they need today. And that may not have been the need of yesterday and who they are yesterday, and that doesn't have to be who they are going to be tomorrow. And you just explore as you go along, and that's an interesting thought, I guess. And I suppose that that also made a difference for you and your relationship with Balt.
Yeah, and actually, I feel that at times I was like, he was moving forward, and I was still like in the mindset of, yeah, this is not possible. Like, he will like chase bicycles till he dies. Not true anymore. Right? But it like took me some time to catch up to him. Like, he was moving forward and I was not.
And that's, I mean, also to recognize that point, of when your dog is ready. Again, hard to like point out what this means, right? Because like, to point out what you did to help him come out of his shell, it's also hard to point out when you can figure out your dog is ready. And I assume, knowing what, we do, that you just know, you just listen to your dog and you watch your dog, you see what they're doing. But is there any other way you were able to tell, uh, Bart is ready? Like, let's say, for example, um, the bicycle, like, now, how he's now okay. Or let's say, for example, how he's okay with the cats. He wanted to explore, is what you mentioned. Like, did you see signs of, yes, my dog is ready for this now, this new, let's say, for example, pushing the envelope a little bit or doing something new with him now?
Mm. He was more sure of himself, I would say. Um, just looking at him in a situation, for example, we stopped walking where there was a possibility where we could uh, run into a bike or person on a bike. um, but when he saw them from a distance, and he didn't like, he continued doing his own thing, I was like, okay, maybe like this is something is changing, right? It was, I'd say, slow steps to the point where I was also feeling comfortable with changing, or maybe moving forward, right? Because I knew from experience that if I'm not feeling comfortable with doing something differently, for example, walking in a place where there is a possibility to run into a bike, I knew that if I'm not comfortable with that, we are not going there yet. So it was basically, I think, more like a team effort, let's say, where it just based on getting to know Balt really good, from observing him, from spending time with him, from seeing what his preferences are. I started to get a feeling where he is. Um, and I think that really helped me to see, okay, maybe now it's time for the next step. But I waited for him. So when I was ready, I waited for him to make the step, right? So I think that's the best that I can describe, but it's truly a feeling inside.
Yeah, but I think it's a good point to talk about observations also, because it happened with Sammy too. Like, for like about 2 3 years we stopped meeting any companion dogs when we were on walks, and we would make conscious choices of, changing our walk times and knowing It was a little creepy, I suppose, but like knowing when people walk their dogs in
Yeah.
our neighborhood
Yeah.
so that we are not walking at the same time. And, if at all we end up like meeting one dog during our walks, um, then we would like change our timing so that, we are not doing it at the same time. And suddenly there was once we accidentally end up seeing another dog, and this dog, um, Sammy was not okay with this dog initially, and then
Mm.
he looked and he was like, not interested, and then went about. And that was like a great sign for me that, oh, okay, so you are feeling comfortable now. Not that I will purposely put you in that situation again, but that now we can manage the situation differently. So we have reached a point where this situation can be managed differently today than we were able to do in the
Mm.
past. Um, so it's not like we are, again, we are not pushing the dogs to get their behaviors in order in certain triggers and situations, but it happens on its own. And then we know, okay, if we do end up like m- getting into the situation again, we know that we can manage it
Mm.
better than we were, and we are able to cope with the situation better than we were able to in the past. So that's an interesting thing. But on the point of observations, I think we also want to point out that when we say observations, we want to be very objective about it as much as possible, because I think as caregivers, we can get very biased about what we're observing, and we are almost like wanting to see what we want to see in our
Mm.
dogs. And I just wanted to point out that if you are observing your dogs for signs, for like how they're feeling, what their preferences are, when we are talking about feeling, it's also about actual observations too. We are learning,
Mm.
and that's the whole point of it. We are learning from the dog themselves and listening to the dog. And the whole point about listening to the dog comes down to observation without, as objectively as possible, I guess, without our biases, and looking at how our dogs are responding. I think I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so any now that we are talking, like I promised that this is going to run long because it's me and Eva. It's going to happen. But now that we are almost at 1.5 hours point, is there? Let me go back to what we were supposed to discuss, and I hope we have covered all points. But is there anything um, else you would have liked to add that I probably did not bring up from this conversation?
I just saw.
There is a question. Yeah, yeah. I think that
Yeah.
question would be a nice one to take. Yes.
So how the cats were. So two of my cats are blind. They are a brother and a sister, and they were completely fine with Bart. Like they were going into his, like towards him, not scared whatsoever. And with them, I think it was, yeah, they were the first that Balt was the most relaxed with, because I think for Balt, it's also very important what how the individual on the other side is feeling. So if the individual on the other side is like relaxed, not worried about anything, that will reassure Balt, and it will really impact how he reacts to the individual. Then I have two of the cats were really like, I don't care about you. um, they either stayed in the same room or they moved away, but were very indifferent to Balt, and he was basically the same towards them. They sniffed each other, but that was that. Then my fifth cat was very unsure and scared of Balt, and with that cat, Balt had the most issues with, let's say. He would chase her, like really focus in on her, but now she also started to come to the same room if Balt is sleeping there. So she started uh, to relax, to feel more comfortable, and their relationship also started changing. Like just the other day, they sniffed each other for the first time. So it was really like the each cat had their own journey with Balt, I would say. So it was really interesting to observe, because at the beginning I was like, okay, you are fine with the blind ones, why are you reacting differently to the other ones? But yeah, it's a relationship, right? And with different individuals, the relationships will change and fluctuate. And yeah.
And maybe even remain the same for all you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, um that was an interesting question to just think about how the cats were, like from the cat's
Mm.
perspective, like how things were. uh so as we come to the end of this conversation, what are some of the really big or small, takeaways that probably you had, maybe in retrospect, maybe as you were going through the journey, that you think maybe you want that message out there, that this is what, I learned, this is what I went through, and I want to share it with you? Like, what are the big ones?
It's okay if you're not at the point that you want to be at. It doesn't matter if it doesn't mean that you will not get where you want to go. um Listen to your dogs, even if you don't know what you are listening to. Even if you're unsure what's going on, listen to them, because there is always a reason why they are acting the way that they are. um Accepting who you are, who your dog is, that doesn't mean that you um settled. I would say that that's not the same. Because for me, when I accepted where I am, where Balt is, we both started changing, because there was no judgment, I would say. Like there were no expectations, like you have to be this way. But it just happened. I was just thinking actually, like I'm gonna go on a little tangent here, but
That's what we are here for.
no, because it really shows how things changed for me. So for example, I really don't like traveling. I am very like anxious about like going to like traveling with planes and everything. But I traveled to India, and that was, I know that for some people that's like, okay, what's the big deal? But for me, that's huge. And because of the fact that I could share with you guys at BARCS that I am anxious about this, like it is difficult for me, and you accepted me the way that I am, and you were like, okay, we are gonna help you, it's okay. Like I went with Caroline, right? She I don't know if she's still watching, but she really helped me and to feel comfortable and to enjoy the journey. And it wouldn't be possible if I didn't be who I am and accept who I am. So a person that doesn't like traveling, doesn't feel comfortable with traveling, but I am surrounded with people that accept me the way that I am. And that is like, I think the best feeling that you can feel as an individual, to be accepted. Thank you, Caroline. To be accepted uh, as you are, because then you have the courage to try things, to try new things, to try things that scare you. So yeah, that's my little tangent.
But it's also amazing, right? Like, while accepting you for who you are, nobody, you were not left alone to
Mm,
explore it on your own, right?
mm,
Like, you're with Caroline, you being in India with a whole group of people who are there, with you. Um, it was not, while accepting you, it was not a lonely journey either, right?
Mm,
It was you had safe spaces, you had people to rely on, you had people to pick up slack if you were not
yeah.
able to. And I think these are all such important things, even in our relationship with our dogs. Just, when we talk about accepting our dogs where they are, accepting us where we are, it's not so much as you rightly said, settle.
Mm,
It's a lot more as, I love who you are right now. I love who I am right now. I have strengths, I have weaknesses, I have
yeah.
good things about me, I have bad things about me. So same goes to the dog, same goes to people that we share relationships with. But accepting at the moment we are right now just opens up so many avenues for us to explore. Just, do I want to change these parts of me? Do I want to
Mm,
be the same, and will I be accepted? Because if I'm not accepted the way I am right now, there is a pressure to change, and there is
yes.
a pressure to be different, or
Yeah.
lose connection, lose relationships. And I think that's a big one, to
Yeah.
lose, to lose oneself or to lose people around you. That's a hard choice to make. Like, do I lose
Mm,
myself and push myself to do something I'm not ready to or I don't want to, or do I lose people and my relationships? And
yeah.
it's hard. Just accepting where you are, it does wonders,
Yeah.
and it's also not that you are accepting unsafe behaviors. We are not saying accept unsafe
Mm,
behaviors from those around you and then be like, yeah, this is going to change someday. It's not about uh, unsafe behaviors, but you're giving safe space to explore and then see if that can be redirected in a different way, that whether you can manage so that there are boundaries set in for,
mm,
so that those unsafe behaviors don't happen. For example, how you mentioned about Bart having something else to bite on or nip on so that it's not happening to you. That's a
yes.
boundary in
Yeah.
itself. That is you're accepting him, but not his behavior directed towards you, which can be unsafe, can be
Yeah.
considered unsafe. And these two really have to be separated, right? Like, accepting a dog doesn't really mean accepting unsafe
Mm-hmm.
space, unsafe behaviors, or feeling unsafe ourselves. I think one thing that I loved about this journey is I just normalizing messiness. I think
Mm-hmm.
you said that a few times, and I think we all want to get this calm dog, perfect dog, well behaved dog, even emotionally well regulated dog. Like,
Mm,
that's an expectation still, right? Like, you
yeah.
want your dog to behave a certain way, be a certain way, but it doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen every day. Things happen. Life is messy, and that's okay, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
What were your learnings? Share in the comments. Ask us
We
any
we
questions.
yeah, we got a few comments I think that we you didn't put on the screen yet.
You want me to put thank you, thank you?
No, no, just like for example, Gwen said, wonderful listening to your conversation, conjures up nice warm feelings.
I did put that.
And Victoria shared that she also has like 4 cats and a dog. So that's nice to hear.
Yeah, I hope you are able to relate some parts of the story or some parts of
Yeah.
the journey. Yeah. If you guys want Eva back on the channel, please let us know in the comments below.
Yeah.
Do you want Eva back, or we just ban her from this channel?
Yeah.
No, Eva. But I love chatting with Eva. It's fun, as you can see.
Yeah.
So we will definitely bring her back for more conversations. But if you give us a nudge, we will do it sooner, I suppose.
Yeah, it was really nice to talk to you and share about that story and talk with people. So, yeah,
Yeah,
really nice.
yeah, and people joined us from like different parts of the world, which
Yay!
thank you for making that
Yes.
time. because I know you might be in very different time zones and having your own, life, doing your thing, but you're listening to two crazy people sitting and talking on YouTube. I really do appreciate, and I'm
Yes,
grateful and thankful. I love you all, and thank you for arranging this and sharing your stories. Please do another one soon. I hope you're listening to this, Eva.
I am. I am. Oh, and Caroline also said that I should come back soon.
Yes. When are you clearing up your calendar? But I love this. I love having these conversations. I love talking about dogs and everything
Yeah.
around. And as you have heard in this conversation, we can't separate our journeys, our learnings,
Hmm.
our influences from what we are experiencing with our dogs. So you'll hear a lot about that too in our conversations.
Yes.
Um, if you, where can people find you, Eva? If you can share that.
Yes. So they can find me on Instagram at noyakanis underscore. So that's where I share my English content. So I think most people will find that useful. So yeah.
Amazing. And are you taking clients right now? Can you share a
Yes,
little bit of that?
yes, I am. I am taking clients, so I also work internationally, like online consultations. So people can message me at info at noyakanis.si. Maybe you can put that information in the description or something. But yeah, yeah, I work internationally with guardians that wish to understand their dogs better and like get on this journey of rediscovering who our dogs are and who we are.
Amazing. So Instagram is where they can find you. The spelling is on the screen with next to Eva's
Yes.
name. So in case you're wondering, and she is open to clients too. So if you want to get on a similar journey with your dogs, then you know whom to reach out to. I will add all of that in the description. Um, do DM Eva and let her know that she has to come back on this channel so that we have a conversation with her soon. And of course, you can let both of us know what were your thoughts, what were your takeaways. I loved this conversation. I would want you to come back here soon enough. We will, like we have our 100 topics to talk about, we will pick one
Yes.
and then we can always come back and then talk about something. We don't need a lot to go on.
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. You just tell us one thing. I think Chani put up love. What? Why is why is love? Why people are
Why
scared
people
to?
don't, yes, why
Yeah,
people
why
don't
don't
love
love
love.
love?
Yes.
We have our next topic.
Yes. I'll be
But I
back.
love. Yes, you are. You are coming back. Where are you going? You're not going anywhere. You are coming back soon enough. I loved this conversation, and thank you to all of you who joined in, who are watching it later. Do share it with your friends who have dogs, or even otherwise. I think there is a lot to take away, even if you don't have dogs. Um, so amazing. Thank you, Eva, for taking time
Thank
out and
you.
then
Thank you.
coming and chatting with me and all of us here. And we will see you guys soon, and I will see you guys soon on this channel as well. Bye. See you.
Bye.